Conor's training like a man possessed, because the way he's looking, like compared to Chris Eubank Jr, he's a completely different fighter.
I'd like to see Conor knock him the fuck out.
Does this?
Like, he wants to win that fight. I mean, they both do. He's 36 years of age, Eubank. He's no chicken. If the weight is not a problem for Conor, then he can give him a big problem. What would I like to happen? I'd like to see Conor knock him the fuck out.
And this isn't the first time Crawford has chosen the easier path to the bank. For years, people questioned his resume at 147, asking why he wasn't facing the best opponent sooner. They wondered why he stayed under the top-ranked banner for so long when all the biggest fights were happening elsewhere. And now, when he finally had a chance to prove himself at 154, he didn't stay long enough to make a real impact. This is the same Crawford who dismissed Spence's Hall of Fame credentials, claiming he only dominated one division. Really? The same Spence who defeated the best at 147, unified titles the hard way, and remained undefeated until he faced Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford cruised through a relatively average welterweight division, barely got by at 154, and is now skipping over the real threats at 160 and 168 just to cash out against Canelo. On interview 22. And now, he has the audacity to question Spence's legacy. For many, it's not just hypocritical, it's
No, I'm not. No, I can't be inconsistent. I can't be dishonest and a hypocrite. I've said from the outset that I didn't like the fights. I felt it was a fight built upon other people's legacies. I understand what it's turned into. I understand the furore and the interest, and I understand the point that Eddie Hearn's making. If you ask Frank Warren what he thinks of it, he doesn't think much of it. People might say that's because he's not involved in it. But I would like to see Conor Benn fighting at 147 and winning a world title in that weight class. And I'd like Eubank, who I think is a brilliant showman and a great raconteur, fighting for a world title at 160 or 168. Not this situation, but each to their own. I don't know, where are you on it?
Well, where are you on it?
Well, it's going to be a month.
Famers don't shy away from hard work. They don't pick and choose their fights based on money alone. They take on the toughest challenges and build a legacy that speaks for itself. Floyd Mayweather didn't just chase the paycheck. He earned his name by dominating the sport across multiple weight classes, fighting everyone who mattered when they mattered. Manny Pacquiao didn't just pursue big fights. He earned his place through the divisions, facing real competition every step of the way. But Crawford is skipping the steps and looking for shortcuts. I interview 23. Sure, if Crawford beats Canelo, people will call him one of the greatest to ever do it. That's the gamble. But if he loses, and let's be real, the odds are stacked against him, it only reinforces the point. Crawford took this fight for the money, not because it was the right move for his career. And that's why, when it comes to Hall of Fame legacies, Crawford's name deserves more scrutiny than Spence's. Spence did things the right way. He fought his way to the top, belt by belt, without skipping ahead. But Crawford is playing the game differently. It's not about belts, divisions, or even legacy. It's about cashing out while he still can. Interview 24. And maybe that's okay. Maybe Crawford deserves to get paid. He's put in years of work, built an undefeated record, and now he wants to...
I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much.
No.
But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily. And you just... It gets to it's an intense build-up.
Don't pretend this is about anything other than money. And let's not act like that kind of career path automatically guarantees a spot in the Hall of Fame. Because if anyone's legacy should be questioned, it's It's not Spence's. It's Crawford's. But what do you think about the whole saga? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates.
Conor Benn knocking out Chris Eubank Jr. That's what I see. And don't ask me why. Because really and truly, when things are foregone conclusions, they're never foregone. Until they really are foregone. So, yeah.
And there's a lot of people with their opinions on the weight clause, right? The rehydration clause.
I'm not worried about the rehydration clause or anything else. I just know at the time of when Chris Eubank was born, the rivalry with him and with his dad and Nigel Benn wasn't deeply insipid in his father's genes. At the time of Nigel Benn wife conceiving Conor, the hatred was deep rooted in Nigel Benn, and it's been passed on to the son. And people think, well, that doesn't win fights and the size and this and that. I'm telling you that there's a different kind of spite or somebody willing to go the extra mile because of that hatred. Otherwise, Chris Eubank Jr. will soundly outpoint him. But I just think I could see something crazy like that happening.
Interview 21. And this isn't the first time Crawford has chosen the easier path to the bank. For years, people questioned his resume at 147, asking why he wasn't facing the best opponent sooner. They wondered why he stayed under the top rank banner for so long when all the biggest fights were happening elsewhere. And now, when he finally had a chance to prove himself at 154, he didn't stay long enough to make a real impact. This is the same Crawford who dismissed Spence's Hall of Fame credentials, claiming he only dominated one division. Really? The same Spence who defeated the best at 147, unified titles the hard way, and remained undefeated until he faced Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford cruised through a relatively average welterweight division.
I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. You know, his experience, the guys he's been in with, you know, take away the weight because, you know, Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. But just ability, you know, boxing skill set is on a completely different level. So,
Interview 21. And this isn't the first time Crawford has chosen the easier path to the bank. For years, people questioned his resume at 147, asking why he wasn't facing the best opponent sooner. They wondered why he stayed under the top rank banner for so long when all the biggest fights were happening elsewhere. And now, when he finally had a chance to prove himself at 154, he didn't stay long enough to make a real impact. This is the same Crawford who dismissed Spence's Hall of Fame credentials, claiming he only dominated one division. Really? The same Spence who defeated the best at 147, unified titles the hard way, and remained undefeated until he faced Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford cruised through a relatively average welterweight division, barely got by at 154, and is now skipping over the real threats at 160 and 168 just to cash out against Canelo. Interview 22. And now, he has the audacity to question Spence's legacy. For many, it's not just hypocritical, it's downright laughable. Hall of Famers don't shy away from hard work. They don't pick and choose their fights based on money alone. They take on the toughest challenges and build a legacy that speaks for itself. Floyd Mayweather didn't.
He's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought at in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more, it's Conor Benn. There's no doubt.
On the other side, Adam Smith sends tremors through the boxing community by pulling back the curtain on something most fans prefer to overlook. Chris Eubank Jr.'s painful past in the ring. There's no denying Eubank Jr. has the style, the bloodline, and the raw firepower to take out just about anyone. But that crushing defeat at the hands of Liam Smith shattered more than just his win streak. It shattered the aura of invincibility even in the rematch. When many expected redemption, there was a lingering asterisk. Liam came in injured, and while Eubank got the win, it felt more like patchwork than payback. That first loss exposed something deeper, vulnerabilities that swagger alone can't hide. But when Smith turns his attention to Conor Benn, the conversation takes a sharper edge. Benn isn't just motivated, he's feral. He's got that untamed drive, a chip on his shoulder, and something to prove that could push this rivalry into explosive territory that Ian Adam Smith view. It's a collision between a fighter rising with momentum and one who might still be haunted by his own history. And that raises the biggest question of all. Can Chris Eubank Jr. rewrite his legacy under the spotlight? Or will Conor Benn crush him beneath the weight of everything he's trying to escape?
There. Maybe that's what Eubank Jr. is thinking, that Conor Benn is going to come out and leave everything in those first 3 or 4 rounds. And if Chris is still there, it could be trouble for Conor. But Conor could knock him out, Barry.
Adam Smith adds fuel to the fire with a bold prediction ahead of the high-stakes clash between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. That on one hand, he sees Eubank Jr. bracing for an early onslaught, expecting Benn to come out swinging with full force, throwing caution to the wind in an attempt to end things quickly. But the gamble? If Eubank Jr. can weather that initial storm, the momentum could shift dramatically. Benn's aggressive start might cost him, burning too much energy too soon and leaving him exposed for Eubank to pick apart in the later rounds. That said, Smith doesn't downplay the danger. Benn's power is no joke. If he lands cleanly, especially early, it could be lights out for Eubank Jr. all over again. Smith even echoes Barry's sentiment, acknowledging Benn's relentless style as a legitimate threat, a pressure that could potentially smother Eubank before he gets a chance to adjust. But here's the twist. It's not just about power or pace. The real question is whether Eubank Jr. can endure the heat, flip the script, and turn the tide, or if Benn's raw ferocity will prove overwhelming with pride, legacy, and redemption on the line. This isn't just a fight. It's a battle where anything can happen. And with stakes this high, predictions mean nothing once the first bell rings.
Sorry for Junior, because he is a 34-year-old man at the time. He wants his own thing. His father is always going to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's right to make his own decisions.
Simon, I see exactly what you're saying, because Nigel has stood back from Conor's career, and Chris Senior was right in the front at the beginning. And I think it's great that Junior is walking his own path.
So do I.
However, they have had horrendous tragedy.
No one saw this bombshell coming. Steve Collins has torn apart the carefully maintained image surrounding Chris Eubank Jr.'s career, exposing the turmoil that's been quietly unraveling it for years. This isn't just about missed punches or questionable performances. It's about identity, legacy, and the silent battle behind the scenes. Collins paints a brutal picture of a man caught in a deep internal struggle, shaped and shackled by a toxic family dynamic that few have dared to address. While Nigel Benn stepped back to let his son carve out his own path, Eubank Sr. has remained ever present, casting a long and often chaotic shadow over his son's every move. What should have been a journey of personal growth has, at times, felt more like a bizarre public performance directed by someone else. Collins didn't tiptoe around the issue. He detonated it. Behind the sharp suits and confident talk, Junior, he suggests, has been fighting to breathe. Torn between crafting his own legacy and living up to the persona engineered by his father, he's been stuck in a cycle of confusion and pressure, and it runs deeper than showmanship. Collins pointed to the emotional scars, the family trauma, the devastating losses that have weighed heavily on Eubank Jr.'s psyche. This isn't just a narrative unraveling, it's a psychological battlefield. Now the question that looms large: can Chris Eubank Jr. finally break free, step into the ring as his own man, and reclaim his identity? Or is he forever bound to a legacy that was never truly his to begin with?
But there's no honour in smacking someone with an egg. Shouldn't have happened.
How do you think the fight's going to play out?
I'm backing Conor Benn. I know Conor. Spoke to him a few times. Always been a top bloke to me. His dad's a top bloke. His dad's a legend. And I'll be backing him. But it's going to be difficult, as he's already alluded to, the two weight divisions coming up. But it'll also be difficult for Eubank to stay within that hydration clause, I think it is. So it's all to play for.
Meanwhile, Johnny Fisher is making no secret of where his loyalty lies. His all-in on Conor Benn. and is not just backing him for hype. For Fisher, Ben isn't just another talented fighter. He's a legacy in motion, carrying the weight of his father's name and forging his own fire in the process. Fisher, who shared countless conversations with Ben behind the scenes, speaks with conviction. He sees something special, an edge, a hunger, and a level of focus that he believes few in the sport right now can match. But let's not sugarcoat it. This fight is no easy task. Ben is leaping up 2 full weight classes, a move that would intimidate most. Yet has embraced the challenge, eyes wide open, fully aware of the uphill battle ahead. On the flip side, Fisher zeroes in on what could be Eubank Jr.'s Achilles heel, the hydration clause. He believes it's more than a minor factor. It could be a game changer, potentially compromising Eubank's performance and tipping the scales in Ben's favor. This isn't just a headline fight, it's a legacy-defining moment for both men. Every second in that ring will count. It's going to be a savage, high-stakes war where grit, heart, and composure will decide everything. So the real question becomes, who rises under pressure and who breaks beneath it? Sound off in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for all the latest fight breakdowns.